I'd like to welcome everybody here to Ashland this morning to celebrate the dedication of an abandoned mineland pilot project here at the Pioneer Tunnel tourist mine. Before I start, I'll introduce myself. I'm Eric Cavaz. I'm the director of Pennsylvania DEP's Bureau of Abandoned Mine Reclamation. And we have a distinguished list of speakers here today that are going to talk about this project. This project salvaged an old headframe and hoist from another mine site, which we'll hear more about during some of the speakers' presentations, and brought it here to the Pioneer Tunnel site to make it a permanent exhibit. And this project was funded through a grant that the Commonwealth received from the Federal Office of Surface Mining Reclamation and Enforcement, called the AML Pilot Program. This was one of 14 projects we funded in 2016. So with that, I am going to get our speakers up here who can talk about the project, talk about their involvement and what this means to the local community. So I would first like to introduce Mr. John Stefanko, who is the Deputy Secretary of the Active and Abandoned Mining Operations Deputate within the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection.
Good morning, everybody. Happy to be up here in lovely Ashland. We would not be here today without the many committed partners on this who made this project possible, and I know a lot of them are in the room. Some of them may not be here today. And it would not be possible without partnerships, which is a big part of what we do. And some of the partners that are here with us today that were part of this project have also partnered with us on other things as it relates to AML, which I know, especially Ed Wojtowicz and the Catawissa, he's very big on that as well. And that's another big piece of what we want to do up here. A lot of these, as Eric indicated, some of these partners are speaking with us here today, and then we'll give you a little bit more history about that. But we are here today at the Pioneer Tunnel for more than just erecting a headframe. And this is to kind of recognize the importance of preserving the mining heritage, which is big here in Pennsylvania. The headframe that you see up on the hill today, although you don't have to turn around, was part of the North Mahoney Colliery, which ceased mining in 1931. It had been a high point of the many geological mining legacy tours here in the western middle anthracite region. The headframe, which 2 hoisting drums and elevator cage, was, as Eric indicated, carefully dismantled, stockpiled, and transported here to the Pioneer Tunnel as part of a AML project that we did. The pieces could easily have been disposed of as part of that abandoned mineland project, which eliminated a hazardous shaft. But we found this opportunity that we could increase the awareness of the heritage that we have here while still removing a public health and safety of the hazard of which was a shaft. It backfilled the project itself, backfilled an abandoned mine shaft near several homes, and removed a deteriorated reinforced concrete electrical house and various concrete foundations, with the area then was just kind of recreated in vegetation. And once again, like I said, part of that project, which was done with our normal AML funds, also allowed us to transport the dismantled headframe over here. The reassembling and the refurbishing of the headframe was all made possible because of the AML pilot program, which was authorized by Congress under the Consolidated Appropriations Act. In July of 2016, Governor Wolf announced the award of $30 million worth of projects, which is 14 total, to reclaim abandoned minelands in 10 Pennsylvania counties, including this project. We would like to recognize that government does work here in Pennsylvania. Here's an example of where government works together with its project's partners to get things accomplished. These funds are being used for the reclamation of abandoned mine lands, pilot funds, that have with economic benefits in coal communities such as Ashland, which was where we are today. Another such project that you may be aware of up in this area that we've done is the Powderly Creek Northeast Underground Mine Fire, which is another one up in this area. These projects are a piece of the Wolf's administration's approach to making government work for all of us. You see the partnerships between federal, state, and governments working together to get various things accomplished, and such as the one we have, the project that we have here today. So I know Eric's already mentioned the many partners, but I think it is only fitting that we give all the project partners here a good round of applause. So. Finally, this project will offer great additional educational opportunities regarding the site history and the coal mining. It serves as a landmark to serve as a resource for the museum to share with the history of the area. All of us at DEP are proud to be of what's been accomplished here, and we're proud to be a part of this event today. And I just want to thank you all.
Thank you, Eric, and very glad to be here today. I'm representing Regional Director Tom Shope from the Office of Surface Mining. The Office of Surface Mining has a long history with PADEP and abandoned mine reclamation. Basically, as long as our program has been around, 40 years, we've been working with first DER and now DEP on providing congressionally appropriated funds to reclaim abandoned mine lands throughout and across Pennsylvania. Thousands of projects have been done through the Abandoned Mine Reclamation Fund, and this pilot program is a really great example of projects that have been selected for their economic benefits as well as abandoned mine land restoration. And so in many cases throughout the years we've seen examples where facilities have been taken down and hauled away, disposed of, also removing a lot of the history of mining in Pennsylvania. So this is a great use of these monies to actually help preserve and restore a piece of mining history in Pennsylvania by being able to have this headframe moved from its original location and replaced here. It'll help assure that the mining history of the Anthracite area of Pennsylvania is preserved and presented to generations to come. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak here this morning. And I also want to say that just about a month ago we brought a group of our summer interns up to this location, and these are our young ladies and gentlemen who are working for us during the summer, and so we brought them up here, and with the help of DEP and the Pioneer Tunnel, they got the chance to go back in the mine and had a great experience doing that. So we appreciate that opportunity also. So thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and on behalf of Congressman Barletta, we'd like to congratulate and commend everybody that worked on this project, because both he and I feel that in order to know where you're going, you have to know where you've been. And the continuation of the Pioneer Tunnel project with the headframe, including the reclamation of abandoned mine lands, is important in that entire scenario. Both he and I have deep roots in the anthracite coal business. We both played on a baseball field that was not a field. It was a flat part of a home bank, 50 feet on the third base side of the line. The baseball benches were old telephone poles. The only base that was in the field was a home plate. Everything else was the squarest, flattest rock we could find to work. And the fence out the back was just a busted up old snow fence. Today, because of efforts like this, the Northeast field now has been reclaimed. It's an American Legion field. And it's a small example of what's being done on a much bigger scale here. So on behalf of the Congressman, we'd like to say we are always happy to work with DEP, with Minelands, with organizations like the Pioneer Tunnel to continue our history so that we know where we can go. Everyone should be commended and celebrated for this. So on behalf of the Congressman, we thank you and wish you the best moving forward. Thank you very much.
We also have my fellow commissioner with me, Gary. Yes.
Pioneer Tunnel, I can tell you, was very, very dear and dear to my heart. As most of you know in this room, as a lot of you know in this room, I was born and raised in Ashland. And I had the opportunity and the privilege to serve on this board of directors for the last 25 plus years of the Pioneer Tunnel. I can remember back in my age away, back in the early 60s when this tunnel first opened. And I think it was either 1961 or 1962. And I, as a 10-year-old boy or 11-year-old boy, standing up there with many, many people and looking at the Loki and hearing the Loki whistle for the first time. And thought, I'd love to have a ride on the Loki. Well, I was fortunate that one of the founders was one of my neighbors. And him and his wife were sitting on the Loki, and they said, "Frankie, come on up, have a seat with us." And I thought I was in. But little did they know at the time, little did the founders know, and I think there was about 10 of them. And I don't want to name all of them because I'm liable to miss one. Little did they know, through their thought, through their initiative, that this would be one of the top 10 tourist attractions in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And to all I know there's a few of our board of directors here that do an outstanding job. Our business manager, Chastity, does an outstanding job to keep this going. It was one of the great initiatives of Schuylkill County. So on behalf of myself, my commissioner, fellow Commissioner Gary Hess and George Halkovich, we want to thank DEP for recognizing what a great value this is, not only to Schuylkill County, but to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric, and welcome to the 123rd Legislative District, Secretary Cervenko. As most of you know, I'm privileged to represent Ashland, and it's funny how life has a way of going full circle. Like Frank mentioned, I remember growing up in Monterey City. I'm literally less than a dozen miles away from here. And one of my favorite spots in the summer, my parents brought us here often, was when we would come to Pioneer Tunnel. And you know, it was always a mixed bag of emotions for my father, because my father, like many people in the coal region, he lost his father at the age of 14, leaving my grandmother and 5 sons to raise. And there's not a family in the coal region that doesn't share the same type of story. And that's why I think it's extremely important that we save our history for the future generations, so that they know that the people that worked in this area, it was not an easy job. This is a very difficult job. And although this is a very nice place to visit, and you love like riding on the Loki when it takes you across the mountains and down into the mines, it's also a dangerous job. And a lot of people worked very hard, and many of them lost their lives, fueling the Industrial Revolution that grew this nation. The coal that came from this area is what fueled the Industrial Revolution that made America a leader in this country. And that is why it's important to preserve headstones and pieces of artifacts like this, also to reclaim the land once savaged by that area, but more importantly, to teach the future generations of what those who came before us did, and to make us all proud, because it started here. It started here in Pennsylvania. The anthracite coal burned hotter than bituminous, which allowed us to pull the coke from the steel to make the battleships and to build the skyscrapers. This is where it started, right here in Little Ashland, Pennsylvania, and the coal mines of our surrounding areas. So I welcome you to the 123rd Legislative District. Mr. Secretary, I thank you for bringing some of this money home to Schuylkill County and helping us reclaim our area, but also helping us remember what made us so great. Thank you.
Thank you all, and welcome to Pioneer Tunnel. I have to thank everybody who was involved in this project, and for the foresight of the people in the Bureau of Abandoned Mine Reclamation to see preservation as a part of reclamation, which we can now use as an exhibit and for education. Many of you may know or may not know that we have an awful lot of school tours in the spring, and this is only going to allow us to enhance our tours and our educational aspect of the mine. I'd like to thank our donors at Pagnotti Enterprises for donating the Headframe, Keystone Anthracite for donating the lumps of coal, which we used to spell out Pioneer Tunnel up there, and probably some others I'm forgetting. But this is kind of a dream come true. Mike Corbett's here. Mike was working for Bureau of Abandoned Mine Reclamation when this headframe was put up for adoption, and we said that, yeah, we'd take it, not knowing what we would do with it or how we would fund putting it together. So when it arrived, we had a giant erector set and no money to put it up. The fund that was brought about, that was spoken of, the $30 million, enabled us to get the money to put it together, and there's still some things we want to complete, but you'll see that when we go up there. And thank everybody that was involved. As far as the head frame is concerned, what it was used to do was to redirect the forces from a hoisting winch so it was straight up and down to raise and lower cars into the shaft and mine cages. My grandfather worked 53 years underground, and after he retired, we were talking about it, and I said, Pap, what was it like going down in the cage? And he said, Eddie, my feet spent the entire trip trying to catch up with the floor. These were not slow-moving elevators by any means so with that, thank you. I'd like to remind you that Pioneer Day is this coming Saturday, so we have a lot of people here and vendors, and if you know any crafters out there, we can take some more. Also, those of you who are in the coal business, we're always looking for pieces of equipment that are old and that we can put on display, and we have a spot right up here. So if anybody knows of anything, I'm begging a little bit. And I also need a mine car, so we could use a mine car that we'd like to put on display with the head frame. Also invite everyone to come and take a tour of the mine after we get done today, or to go out on our train if we have it running. They had a little leak in the locomotive this morning. They're getting it repaired, and hopefully it'll be running after we get finished. And so that everyone can get a tour with us, and that's on the house, of course. So thank you again for coming.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here today representing the Ashland coal mining industry. So good to see so many friends here. Ed Wojtowicz, good to see you again. Robert Hughes, these guys do a phenomenal job in reclamation. Neil, do a great job in Harrisburg. He represents this area very well. I tell you, when I get out and I talk to him, his door's always open to me, and I always appreciate that. Thank you very much. Bob, Carl, and John Stefanko. But I really would be remiss if I didn't recognize Mike Corb. Mike, the guy he works harder than anybody I know. I mean, he's just like a force of nature. I know Mike had a lot to do with what's happening here today. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Today is not about a head frame. Today is about people. It's about remembering the men and the women who lived and worked in this region, and the sacrifices and the gifts that led to this day here today for all of us. As Neil said so aptly, this area provided the region with energy for an industrial revolution, but not just an industrial revolution, but to keep our country safe. We provided energy for the victories of 2 world wars, on the Korean Peninsula, in Vietnam, and throughout the Cold War. So this area has paid its dues to this country, and the sacrifices that have been made for this country and these people are good to be recognized, and it's good that we look back. But it's also good that we look forward and not let the sacrifices of those who came here before us be in vain. It's good that we build on those sacrifices, that we continue to mine the coal in this area in an environmentally friendly way, that we continue to reclaim the area, restoring it to its natural, pristine beauty as it once was. And those are the things that I think that we need to be looking forward for here and going forward. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. This head house is a tribute, or this head frame is a tribute to the people that came here, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and speak. Thank you very much.
I am David A. Lucas from Higgins. I've been in the mines for 42 years. I double shift, triple shifts. I still probably have to live there for 10 to 20 years to see as much dark time as daytime as they've seen dark time. I had my, back in the 60s, I'd say 67, I had my first tour of the Pioneer Tunnel here. And it was something exciting, but I was in the mine since I was 9 years old. I used a turtle hat, a carbide light that was outside of my, my dad, and we were down 2,300 feet. It was like laying in a coffin. When it was over, they wanted to burn my dad with the light. I thought, hell, I'm with my daddy. So to continue on, I dealt with the DER first. we didn't have the best of a relationship, but DEP came in and it changed around. What it did, due to the fact that when it first started out, I don't think everybody was on board. And coal hoppers are hardcore, tough SOBs. And it stays that way. Because that's what makes a coal miner. And as it came around, I dealt with some top officials in Harrisburg and brought things to light that the heat from DER to DEP, that everybody learned to work together. And the reclaim of the land, everybody wanted the land reclaimed, so we didn't have no tragedies after our mines were done and so forth and so on. So I put my hand out to the DEP today. But anyhow, as a coal miner, I'm going to go back. I guess I should talk more about this, but I do make soup here on this coming Saturday. I use the black coal kettle. I call them the black coal kettle's Pennsylvania Dutch soup. Should have a drink. but anyhow, I come up here and I enjoy it. I do represent coal mining to the day I die. And I'm 66 years old, still snot-nosed as far as I'm concerned. But I do bring my annual mugs up. I usually have mugs every year at my annual coal miners picnic at Higgins Park. And what I do, I put miners' names on that died, or God bless was killed in the mine, or Stiffens, or whoever's going to be a breaker. But this year I did something different. I put 9 men from the Porter Tunnel that were brought up first time, God bless, in 1977, March 1st. It's 40 years anniversary this year. And a week later they got run all that in the yard. God bless, he worked for me one time or another. And he passed away years later. But then I put Tommy Simon and Stu Richards on my mug that are still living, and it's a great thing to put somebody in honor. So, well, I'll be bringing mugs up here and some of my shirts again on Saturday. But what I do is I ride coal mining up, because we did get a hard kick in the butt from the federal Bureau mines. Not the state, not the DER, DEP, but the federal, they're hardcore, and I'm hardcore. And here's the damn thing, excuse the language, I just think it's bad. There's a better one than that. But the thing is, when you come in from the soft coal region, we're hardcore, we're hard coal. You've got to know what the hell you're talking about. You don't come in here and start trying to take the region over, and here's what happened. The region is a hard coal region, is about history right now. I think there might be 10 deep mines operating. I know, as you fellas here, and pardon my expressions, that's the way I see it, some of you fellas here to move their permits a little bit up the grade here to get these guys back to work again. And you have your scriptures going, thank to God for that. But this place here is one of the few that still represent what we did all our life. There's number one underground from in the coal mine. We go where no man ever went. Does that make sense? Every cut of coal you take, nobody's ever there. Not in our time anyhow. But we're like dinosaurs. We're just about obsolete. And it shouldn't be, but coal mining should come back. It's one of the cleanest goddamn, better clean heat you ever get. And that's successful. I guess on that note there, I guess I should just let it go. Might talk more dumb, I don't know. But I have a lot of respect for all you people who are here. I have a lot of respect for the Ashland Pioneer Tunnel. There's some other ones here and there around in and out of our counties here in different counties. But it is great up here. And I tell you another thing. Coal miners are hard coal son of the bitches. I had to say it that way, so don't get bent on a sheep over it. And if you have a drink or two, you probably say the same thing. So on that note there, I think I'll just let it go. Thank you.
Okay, Ed, count us down from 5.
4, 3, 2, 1. One.
There you go. Very nice, very nice. Now, please, let's have everyone come on up. We're going to get a picture with the Headframe.
This day is a very heartwarming day for retired coal miners,
the ones that passed away for their families, and the ones that hopefully start new mines up and bring coal back to our region where it belongs. And it's just, they have a lot of work involved in here, a lot of safety in it, and it's something that people that come here to look at it, they don't know what they're even looking at until you explain it what it is. And they say, you mean tell me you go down inside that dark mine? It's just like driving a car with headlights in the dark time. So it's great. Number one, you got to be proud to be a coal miner, and number one, you got to always learn something new every day if you want to survive it. But it's the safety, I think, really. And you go down, it's dark. Sometimes it's more, it's dark, but you always want to see daylight.
It's preserving history. At one time, these headframes were ubiquitous in the coal regions. There were literally hundreds of them. This is one of maybe 2 or 3 that still exist, and through the combination of a lot of proper events, we were able to save it and put it back up as an exhibit and an educational tool, and one more thing to see when people come here to Pioneer Tunnel. It served as part of the hoisting mechanism to raise and lower the cages that went down into the mines, and the cages carried mine cars and man and equipment up and down. And Pioneer Day is our annual celebration here. It's this Saturday. There are a lot of vendors selling a lot of good food. We have rides, of course, on our train and into the mine, as well as vendors for crafters. And actually, we have some more room for some more crafters. If you're out there, give us a call.
Well, I think most people realize that Ashland Pioneer Tunnel is the 10th most visited place in Pennsylvania. But I think what it does today, it enhances our history. It also gives people a visual idea of what we're talking about and how a miner went into the mines. And it shows the future generations exactly what our fathers and forefathers went through to make this a great nation. I mean, anthracite is what fueled the Industrial Revolution, and it started all right here in Little Ashland, Pennsylvania. Pioneer Tunnel is one of the 10 most visited places in Pennsylvania, but there's a lot more than just riding on a car. It tells you the history of the anthracite coal region and the men and women that came before us, and that's what future generations really need to see. What do you think?
It means a lot because for the history, because there's a preservation of the history. As we all know, there's a historic abandoned mine land problem here in Pennsylvania. We probably have the leader in the nation with regards to abandoned mine land problems. So this came about as a result of reclaiming one of those abandoned mine land features, a hazardous vertical shaft, but also allowed us to salvage the headframe such that it would preserve a little piece of history which otherwise would have just been disposed of properly. Coal is not a dead industry. There's 11 active underground deep mines currently in the anthracite region of Pennsylvania, and we have over 20 underground mines in the western part of Pennsylvania. So coal is definitely not dead here in Pennsylvania. It's much more fuel efficient as far as how they produce the coal, and they're doing it in a much more better environmentally protective manner. So that I would agree, coal is not dead in PA.